Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and it's been a while since I made a video. I'm gonna try to be making more videos again soon, but I have been putting out some new podcast episodes and new blogs, and plenty of content if you follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter or so forth. Um, and if you haven't checked out docs.devnursery.com, I highly recommend to check out. That's a great resource. Put a lot of time into that. Literally any question you have as a newer developer is probably going to be answered in there. Now, what I'm going to do in this next video series is I just had an idea of creating it's been a while since I really just created an application just to create one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a super to-do list. So the idea is I always talk about building to-do lists to learn, build a simple to-do list, build a more complicated to-do list. So I'm going to build a to-do list with all the bells and whistles. So in this first video, we're going to get the basic skeleton of the structure of the application all set up. And we'll, every time I work on a bit of it, I will record it, and you can kind of watch me go through the process of building the app. Okay, so yeah, so let's get to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with the backend. So I'm gonna create a folder for the backend. Okay, so I am going to open up the terminal. Yay! And I'm gonna cd into the backend, and then I'm going to want to create my .gitignore, my .env, and I want to create my server.js for our core sort of server file. Any other files I want to create, then we might as well have a readme.md in there, so that way that's there for later. Okay, cool. And let's just open up that folder. Goody, good. And then let's make some folders that I plan on making. So I'm going to want controllers. I am going to want models. I am going to want a DB folder to put just sort of my database connection in there, logic in there. Make your controllers, folders, models, DB. And I want a utils folder for just some miscellaneous stuff. And let's actually make a services folder. Let's actually do this. Let's actually create services this time around. I'm gonna make this more complicated than it needs to be just to kind of do it. Okay, services, and that will be good. Okay, cool. So there's all my folders there. And now we want to do our package.json, so npm init-y for our node project. Okay, there it is. And things I'm going to want to install, npm install. I'm going to want Express. We'll do this with Express. I am going to want JSON web token because I am going to do authentication for this. So that means I'm going to want bcrypt for encrypting. I'm going to do bcrypt.js. Just because sometimes when you install bcrypt, it builds from source, so sometimes that isn't successful. So I always just do bcrypt.js because it's pre-compiled. I'm going to use Mongoose because we're going to use a Mongo server, which I'll start up in a second. And I am going to want, I'm going to want a Morgan for logging. I am going to want anything else pretty good. I think that is good for now. Oh, and course. And I think that should do it. Okay, so we'll install that, and we can always install more stuff later if we need to. Okay, so that's all installed. Now I do want to make sure that I have my Mongo server running, so I'm going to start up a terminal over here to run my Mongo server. So sudo mongod. Okay, and there you go. My Mongo server is running, so that's there. Okay, so in my .env, I'm going to put just my normal types of environmental variables. So port we'll just do 4444. Database URL. We will do MongoDB. Except I don't want localhost. I want 127.0.0.1, And then we'll call the database based on today's date. So we'll just say October 20, 2023. Okay, so I don't have to worry about accidentally writing over some previously made database. JW2 secret, that's fine. And actually, I just rather just call it secret. I think there's anything else I'm going to want. I think that's pretty good. Okay, cool. And let's kind of get our server going. So actually, I want to do this as a module. So I'm going to do package.json. A couple of things I want to do in here. We're going to say type. And we're going to make this a module. So that way I can use ES module syntax. I'm going to create my scripts. So we're going to have a start script, which will just be node server.js. And then we're going to have our dev script, which is going to be node --watch server.js. That way we can use the watcher. And yeah, it's good for now. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. So let's go back to our server.js, and now we can do like import express from express. Actually, no, I want to import express from express. I want to import .env from .env. And I'm going to want to just immediately call that config function. So that way, before anything else happens, all my .env variables are loaded into the environment. Okay, import mongoose from mongoose. Not here. I think that might be good for here for now. Okay. So then we'll create our application object. Then, so let me actually put my comments here. Here's where we'll register our middleware, which we'll get to a little later on. Here we'll register our routes. Actually, we won't even need that because I'm going to do everything in the middleware. You'll see what I mean. And then here we'll have our listener. Okay, and we'll app.listen. Yep, that's fine. Console.log serve is running on port. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I usually would prefer that we have a variable called port, so const port. That works for me. And then we just use that port variable instead. Just looks cleaner. And then I can provide a fallback value, which is nice. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's just test out that that's working. So I'll just do npm run dev. Okay, already we have some issues. Cannot find package.env. Imported from, oh, I didn't install .env. Oops, I knew I was forgetting something. npm install .env. Which is why, you know, it's important to run the file consistently to catch these errors early before you get too far down the rabbit hole. Okay, so now let me run that dev command again, and now it looks like to be running fine. Let me just make sure I get the error I would expect. Okay, so if I go to localhost 4444, yep, that's what I expect, so that's good. Wonderful. Okay, and how are we doing on time in this first one? So that's a pretty good wrap-up place for this first video. I'll see you in the next video where we'll start building out like the models and middleware and things like that. I'll see you in the next video.